before, I'd like to welcome each and every one here tonight. We've got Mr. Tommy Donovan, Tipton County Commissioner with us, and also the EMA, correct? Guy in Tipton County, he's here with us tonight. And if you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated, please. Yes, ma'am. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Davidson, second by Mr. Farrell. Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passed. Are there any additions to the agenda? Any groups here tonight? I don't see you. Not for petitions. If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove any item from the consent agenda for discussion? If not, we have 2 field trips extra here before I forget it. And with no objection, they've been approved and everything, everybody signed off. Mr. Joyner has made a motion to add these trips. Second by Mr. Shipley. Those in favor, let that be known by saying aye. Aye. Do we have a motion to pass the consent agenda with no discussion? Motion by Mr. Clark, second by Ms. McClark, and all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, no. The motion passed. Ms. Lisa Bennett, teachers receiving tenure, and that's a happy time.
Hey, yeah, don't you know it's a happy time. We did present a few of our teachers for tenure last month, but we do have some additional folks to present tonight. And what I am going to do, I'm going to, we had a few people that couldn't come tonight. I'm going to go on and read off their names first. Alan Willie from Brighton Middle School, Catherine Newman from Crestview Elementary School, Leah Wiley from Crestview Elementary School, and Stephanie Weekly from Munford Elementary School. And at this time, I will call up those teachers that are here tonight to present a certificate to. When I call your name, if you would come up, please. Ms. Heather Daniel from CIAA. Congratulations. You're welcome. Ms. Jameson Pulliam from CIAA. Good hire, I hired her. Ashley White from CIAA. Miss Shayla Hill from Munford Middle School. Miss Amanda Tillman from Austin P. Elementary School. All right, that's all I have.
Let's give these ladies another round of applause. Congratulations to each one of you. That's a milestone. That's good. Glad you got that. Thank you, Dr. Ms. Lisa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Y'all, hey, just because you have your tenure doesn't mean you have to sit through the whole meeting. You go out. You have tenure now, you can leave.
That's right. That's a perk. Good way to say it.
Yeah.
That's
Go, Amanda.
That's all nice, Chairman.
No, I got tenure at one time.
Yeah, you still have it. So, you can't leave yet. We're gonna keep you a note in a few more minutes. Dr. Bird, Director of Instruction, report.
Thank you. The first thing I want to do tonight is introduce, we have some students that participated in the SCOPE program, so I'm going to ask them to come up at this time, and they are going to talk to you a little bit about their experience. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Haley, and I'm Haley Gaden, and I'm from Covington High School, and I am a junior. Hi, my name is Tania Lark. I'm from Mulford High School, and I'm a junior.
My name is Lucas Ballard. I'm a junior from Covington High School.
Hello, I'm Jay Rankin. I'm a junior at Wright High School. So we have all three high schools represented tonight. I think you want to go first? I want to go first. So a brief overview of what the SCOPE conference is. It was students, one male and one female from each high school in the state were given the opportunity to go. And we went up there, and the Tennessee School Board Association gave us 4 topics to debate and discuss in our own separate groups. The 4 topics were students with perfect attendance shall be exempt from exams, cyberbullying should be a zero tolerance offense, switching from the normal school schedule that we have to a year-round school schedule, and the grading scale going from the scale that's at right now to a traditional 10-point scale like most colleges uses. And I believe 2 of us had, I think me and you had the perfect attendance being exempt from exams, and what did you 2 have?
The grading
The
scale.
grading scale.
Right, they had the grading scale. So I personally was given the opportunity, I was nominated by my group to be our speaker and voice of everybody's opinion, to go up on stage at the SCOPE conference and debate in front of everybody that was attending. And I had to be for letting students with perfect attendance be exempt from exams. And when we discussed in our groups, we found that students with perfect attendance being exempt from exams, implementing that plan would provide an incentive for students to come to school. Not only will we have kids coming to school, but we would have them wanting to come to school. It's a reward with no punishment, so it didn't really seem like a bad thing to have. And also, with the more attendance we have, the more school funding and the more school district funding that we would get from the Tennessee School Board Association.
And another thing we talked about in my group, because we were also pro doing the incentive, we talked about if they did get the incentive, some kids would use that to their advantage because they would come to school, but they really wouldn't learn in the classroom. So it would just be giving students that don't try in class just the day off of exams and stuff like that. You want to talk about the cyber? Did you have cyber?
Our groups were against adjusting to a 10-point traditional grading scale, and the reasons we gave were that a 7-point grading scale challenges students more, and we said that it was better to help students be successful. We don't want to lower the standard, but we want to help students reach the standard.
One pro for it will help students be able to relax and give them a chance to be able to get the grade they deserve.
Want to share anything else about the other topics?
Well, we did like a mock board meeting in our group, and we talked about making vaping a zero tolerance offense. And we gave the pros and cons about that. Making it a zero tolerance offense would teach kids not to vape in class. And we also talked about if they do get expelled from school, they would have to take a vaping class to educate them more on why vaping is not good for the body and the brain.
Of course, granted, all of the topics that were given when they were voted on by the crowd all failed. So none of them got a affirmative vote. So I was on the pro side, and I don't know if anybody else is on the pro side, but that was quite unfortunate. But we still had a good time, and we still learned a lot. And we want to thank you all for letting us come up here and discuss what we learned.
Thank you.
Lucas, I was going to say, you and Haley, who talked about the grade scale, I think actually the legislature is taking that up this year to change the grading scale. And their rationale for the ones who wanted to change it were that more people would be eligible for scholarships, I think. if they walked it down to like 90 to 100 being an A and stuff. So I didn't know if you were aware of that, just wanted to mention that.
I'm very glad that I'm aware of that now.
Thanks, y'all. Great job. Great job.
And you guys can stay or go, it's up to you. You've done your part, so you're free to go if you'd like to. Although this is quite interesting to you, I'm sure. All right, the next thing that we have under my report, we have Miss Ann Johnson and Miss Missy Hammond from Munford High School, and they are going to talk to you for a few minutes about industry certification. Those ladies.
Ms. Hammond and I are fortunate to teach subjects that do have industry certifications available to them. As most of you know, that is the big topic of conversation, is how many ways that we can have our students prepared to enter the workforce, whether they're going to post-secondary or not. Unfortunately, the current situation in our state is not all industry certifications are making the state list. And that is a topic of conversation currently on the state level of adjusting the list and working towards increasing the number of industry certifications that qualify for the school systems to be recognized. The industry certifications you have in front of you, we piloted this 2 years ago. This would be our third year in it. The first year we did it in a class that Ms. Hammond and I team taught, a food science class that was new for us. And this is an ICEV program. It's an online program. So when the students left the class, they would have a certification from the American Meat Institute, and it's a food safety certification. So from there, they are trying to pilot more programs in the state of Tennessee, and we like to be the first to do lots of things at our school. So we agreed to pilot that in Principles of Agribusiness, which is focused on floral design. So from the Benn School of Floral Design, they have a Principles of Floral Design certification that last year we had 17 students obtain. And then we again continued the food science class, and again trying to tread into new territory with Ms. Hammond's veterinary science program. We had one student that completed the Elanco veterinary medicine industry certification.
And this year we have several that are working on the Ducks Unlimited Natural Resource Management certification,
which is new this year. Ducks Unlimited actually rolled that out in November, and we are the first school, to my knowledge, in the country to do that industry certification with them. So we keep trying to evolve and add more to that. So if you hear of us being in Nashville campaigning to include things, these are wonderful certifications, but unfortunately it doesn't give Mr. Combs any credit of how wonderful things we're doing in Tipton County, because they're not on the approved state list. The ones that are on the approved state list have to be linked to post-secondary credit, and depending on what institution you have them, whether that's linked to the post-secondary or not. But Ducks Unlimited, for example, those students that go to work for them may never attend a post-secondary institution, so the post-secondary credit is not, I'd say, needed for them, or something that they feel is necessary at this time. So the ICEV company came and did a case study and printed these brochures that we thought we would never hand out to anyone. But someone has since seen them and decided that y'all needed to see them too. So we have brought them with us to show them to you and answer any questions you have about industry certifications.
It's a nice brochure. It really is.
Very nice. I was just gonna say this is a big deal, y'all.
It is.
It's a big deal. We've been working to do things like this and push these things. They've been working so hard on these things, and we have got to get to where this is the gear that we're in. You know, this is a part of the strategic plan that y'all developed. This is part of it. And
So my question is about state-required certifications, like for HVAC, pesticide application. Is any of that?
Pesticides on the list, but
It
the
is.
others not.
Okay.
The rhyme or reason to, again, I have to put on a separate hat. I was very fortunate to serve on the governor's Agricultural Education Youth Participation Task Force this year, and industry certifications was a big feat that we're trying to tackle, because we feel like if we can change that in the agriculture field, then it's going to spill over into the other CT organizations, because we kind of are pushing that effort right now. So when this all started years ago, we didn't have that many in the state of Tennessee that were in agriculture other than pesticides, and the people, when we're hunting for what to put on the list, they struggle with that. So in our state, we developed a horticulture science and an animal science industry certification from the state, not something that was coming from the universities or from industry. We did it within the Department of Education. So we're still trying to promote that and encourage to establish that as a certification. The problem being, a beef cattle producer in East Tennessee doesn't know what that industry certification means. However, Elanco, a company that they purchased pharmaceuticals from, at least now tells them that that child knows how to administer medications and are a viable employee for them on their farm. So when it got tied to accountability in the state is when they locked the list and there was no more adding things to the list. So our feat right now is trying to get the list
That's out of your
unlocked.
control.
It's totally, you've got about 5 different agencies at Nashville that are all linked to this. TBR is linked. It's just a lot of entities, the Workforce Labor Development Board. Because, for example, and you can relate to this in the agriculture industry, it's all based on your amount of high skill, high demand occupations in your community. In agriculture, for example, that is out into 16 different areas. So if you look at it on the labor workforce data, landscaping is not a viable industry in our community.
Floriculture or cattle, beef production.
Because they're spread. So, for example, all of the florists in this state most of them are now being located within a retail grocery store. So they fall under their labor data in retail grocery.
Yeah.
And not in that industry. Landscape, they're linking under sole proprietorship business because they own their own business and they're not identifying. It's a word game balance that we have going on. Some states are tackling the issue by developing additional ways to link that high demand, high wage occupations so we can aggregate those words together or those occupations together. For example, that's what they're doing in the state of Florida. So when we were on this committee, we're trying to figure out how different states are doing it. The state of Arkansas, for example, has 100 different agriculture industry certifications on their state list, and in Tennessee we have 7.
Yeah.
That's not,
But
we're
y'all
not,
are making a
so we're trying
headway in
to,
it.
and again, this is probably not what I should say, but it is the pushing effort behind this was I needed something to go with me to Nashville and say, there's the list of names, and I took the sign, and these students, they don't count. And why do they not count? Why is what they did not worthy of recognition or acknowledgement? And until you put a face with a name and understand what they're doing, you can't get someone's attention to have a conversation. So that led to this. So,
Johnson, is a couple questions for you. Is interest increasing from year to year, and how do you get the word out to the students?
On our industry certifications, yes, it is increasing. They're going to tell me if I misspeak here. But, a child has to obtain EPSOs in order, what different things to classify, whether they're dual enrollment or 21 on the ACT list of items, and industry certifications is listed there. Well, unfortunately, the way our current list is in the state, my analogy to tell you this when I've made presentations before, if I told you had to show up here tonight and you had to bring some form of identification, you can bring your passport, you can bring your birth certificate, or you can bring your driver's license if you have your passport. So you just really negated the driver's license. Well, if I'm dual enrollment or I'm 21 on the ACT, or I can have an industry certification that's on the state-approved list that's linked to post-secondary. Well, if it's linked to post-secondary, I either got a 21 on the ACT, or I've already gotten the dual enrollment credit. So we just negated the industry certification. But on paper, to the public, there's a list of industry certifications. This sounds great. We're behind the governor's initiative of let's make career and technical important in our state again. We need those jobs. We need HVAC employees. But when you get to the nitty-gritty of how it's actually being conducted, we've eliminated those people. we're back to just the top of the list. So now to answer your question, our students kind of got on to the task. There's a lot of them that are on the dual enrollment 21 ACT, and they want those are your students that it doesn't matter what you're doing, they want to achieve. And they want as many industry certifications as they can get. So we have those students that are gaining interest in the program to get more certifications. But then we also have those that see it when they got the certificate, we make the presentation, and these people come to visit, they realize it's something real, and it's something that they can get a job. And the conversation about the job really becomes more to life to them when we're to the point of, here's your certification. You can tell them and say that they're going to get something, but until they put it in their hand, it's really kind of fictional to them. So when we're building resumes now, as they're walking out the door as seniors, and we get to the point of, do you have any certifications? They're very proud to go, I do. I have some. So,
Well, it looks like you have mostly female students in the program.
you know, might be some truth to that. We're about 50-50, believe it or not, when we did our attendance, our enrollment this year. We have 450 agriculture students, and we're about 50-50. Years ago, when I started in this, that was not the case. But times change, times evolve, but we are.
Are there any other questions? We appreciate y'all being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
All right, problem's almost straight. All right, two more things from the instructional side. One of our strategic plan, Dr. Combs mentioned our strategic plan, and one of the strategic planning goals that you all set that we helped to write was to increase the teaching of life skills and career exploration. So I want to talk to you just a minute about some of the things that have been going on with our middle school students. We are trying to expose them to their college and career options before high school. So 6th and 7th graders are currently taking career interest inventories. And if you all remember from TSBA back in November, the youth science program, then you've actually approved the purchase of that. But in May, our 8th graders will be taking that to measure their career aptitudes. And then the other things, all of our 8th graders have or will be visiting TCAT at Dyersburg State this semester, and we also have some additional trips to UT Martin and the University of Memphis. And then the last thing is all of our 8th graders attended the Pathways to Possibilities Career Expo last week in Ripley, and it was amazing. We had almost, there were almost like 60 different participants there, from FedEx to, I think someone said that FedEx had 60 employees there, but from FedEx to TCAT and all in between were there to discuss the college and career options with our students. And y'all, it was amazing. We've heard nothing but good things. So anyway, we're doing some great things with our middle school students. So
All the 8th
certainly
graders
things
went? All the 8th grade went?
from all
Did
the
you get any feedback from the students at all?
only that day, just they were excited and just talking to them, you know, hey, how is this? They were, and it was all hands-on stuff. Like there was some virtual reality goggles where they could virtually simulate, I guess, driving a bulldozer, things like that. It was really interesting.
How many counties participated in that?
Gosh, Mr. Vance.
7 or 8? 11.
11?
11? Said 11.
Okay. If you were cooking for a
Oh,
while,
that's
weren't
right.
you?
He was the cook.
They're really good.
11.
Is that an annual event?
This was the first year, but I think they anticipate repeating that.
It was really
It was
amazing. I
really
mean,
good.
we put a video on our Twitter feed of like, we got one of the linemen to climb up and take a video of from the top, and it was, I mean, the kids, the feedback was unreal. They loved it. It was really great.
It was really good. It's snakes and everything there, so different story for a different time. All right, the last thing I have, Textbook Adoption Committee has recommended the textbooks that are on the handout that you received tonight. K-5 chose Amplify CKLA, 6 through 8, Learn Zillion, Expeditionary Learning, and 9 through 12 was Pearson, My Perspectives. So we'll need a motion from you all to approve the committee's recommendations for ELA textbooks.
Do we have a motion to approve this? Motion by Mr. Shipley, second by Mr. Davidson. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passed.
Rebecca, let me ask you.
Dr. Burton. Okay.
You said all the 8th grade have a college visit? All the 8th grade. How do you determine that? Who does the college visit?
who, like which students, that, the school takes care of all of that. That's not something we do at the district level. Mr. Michael may.
Eighth grade, they want to go.
Any student that wants to go, it's all right.
Yeah, they've gone to
Yeah.
TCAT, Dyersburg State, and
University of Memphis and UT
UT Martin.
are on that list, and they can sign up if they're interested.
Okay.
Yeah, but the schools, they take care of arranging all of that.
Any
Anything
other
else?
questions for Dr. Burger? Thank you, Dr. Burger. Director of Operations, Dr. Fisher.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I just have a very short report. I did want to update you. The HiSET program, our adult education program, is now 6 months old. Mr. Thomas Hayes is here, the coordinator, but I wanted to share some good news. We had 4 students that tested this week, and 3 of those students received their HiSET. And one of them is Miss Ina Terry, and she is 76 years old. So we are just so excited about that. So with the program being 6 months old, we have 7 students that have achieved their HiSET thus far. So we're just really, really excited about that.
I said that's the same as GED?
GED, yes, sir. Yes,
Very
sir.
cool.
So that, yes, it is. It is. It's very cool. As you know, today has proven to be a challenge in our nation and in Tipton County in West Tennessee as we discuss the coronavirus and COVID-19. So tonight we have Ms. Sherry Yarbrough, School Coordinator Health, and Ms. Cindy Hogg, our Nursing Director from Methodist La Bonheur, and they will share with you some of the steps that the school system that we have taken thus far. So I want to welcome them up, please, y'all ladies.
And we get the nice, pleasant stuff to talk about. How are y'all doing? Just wanted to tell you right now that one of the first things we've done is, we've met a lot of groups have met, and with Coordinated School Health, I have a lot of pink fingers out there to a lot of different agencies, so we've been reading a lot, doing a lot, pulling a lot of information together, getting a lot of information pretty regularly, but one of the first things we did, we wanted to get information out to parents. So last week, we did the first call out to parents and put information on our Tipton County Schools website. And instead of writing a letter and putting it in kids' hands to take home, that call out referred parents to our website, so they would know that anything new we got, they can find it on the Tipton County Schools website. We also decided that it would be, we have the coronavirus 2020, but we also now have an icon just for information under, that might be coming down to us, that it's directly put under.
Latest news.
Is the icon's not there?
Refresh it.
Yeah, because it's brand new. There it is. The scroll, right there. So parents, all they would have to do is go to that part, click on that, and anything new would be under that icon. We've also, just to let you know that we're doing a lot, you know, what they tell you is wash your hands, wash your hands. We've done some reminders to students and parents and teachers about making sure kids are washing their hands. With ABM right now, we're making sure there's soap filled in every bathroom, that there are plenty of paper towels. They are cleaning extra every evening, and we've been doing this ever since the flu outbreak came. If we have schools that have a higher than what we expect, higher absentee rate, we also have been using what they call a mist type of cleaner that they can mist into a room, and it disinfects everything in there, and I think it only takes a few minutes to do each room. So we've been using that. They've been really diligent at wiping down touch points, your doorknobs, water fountains, things like that, that we know there's going to be a lot of touching because of the hand contact. Thank you. Couldn't think of the word there. Actually, right now, our attendance rates are as normal as what we would have at any time this time of year. We have not seen increased absentees. That our rates are very good right now. To let you also know, we have posters that Tommy Government has brought to us that we'll be putting in all the schools, that we've already got some of them around, but it's just general information about germs in general, how to keep from getting that, but this also talks about the COVID-19 virus itself. So you will see those. And we also have a task force that will have our first meeting tomorrow that will talk specifically about what we do in the schools and in this community if we get direction from the Department of Health or the State Department.
And then I'm going to let Ms. Hogg, Cindy Hogg with Bonner, tell you what information we have with her right now.
So I just want to say, we all know if we've watched the news, there are no cases right now in Tipton County. Dr. Combs did call me, and I did come to the Education Council meeting the other day, and I just want to share a little bit of information, what I shared with them. And that is, again, being diligent and doing all the things we know to do to wash our hands and take care of all those things. But the other piece of that, I tried to explain to them, because I've gotten a lot of questions about, is this political, is this hype, is this crazy, have we lost our minds, all those types of questions. So there is a lot of concern from the CDC and from the people who are studying this virus that it is new. We do not have all the answers to the virus, so that makes people concerned. We don't know that it will wax and wane like the flu, come in the fall, leave in the spring. We just don't know yet. And because of that, the other piece that I'm hearing from all of my family members, why stop all these events? Because it is unprecedented to stop the NBA and the NHL and all these other March Madness today. It's just unbelievable. But the concern is that if we don't stop gathering in large numbers, that it will put such a strain on our healthcare system that we will not have the capacity to take care of all the patients who will come to the hospital. It is, for most people, a mild respiratory illness with a fever and some, respiratory discomfort, and most people will recover at home, treating their symptoms and just being smart and using common sense. But for those people who are in the target areas, those that are over 60, those that have chronic conditions or they're immunocompromised, those people we are most concerned about, and we certainly want to do everything we can in our individual lives to make health care available for those people who might truly need hospitalization. If you've seen any of the news on TV, some of it is horrifying, and so we just want to be really careful that we're not in a panic mode. What we're doing at school is the same thing we always do. If a child presents with a fever, we're calling parents and we're telling them, please come get your child. They have a fever. We're going over symptoms with them, and then we're giving them our advice is to contact your doctor. Most of our kids, if they've not traveled or been around someone who's been outside the country, they're going to have a common cold or a sinus infection or an ear infection or all those things that you have this time of year. But if there are any of those things that are even a greater concern, we're simply referring them back to their doctor. Please check with them and let us know, and then we're trying to follow up with those kids. And as Sherry said, our absentee rates are normal for this time of year. We've not had any increase in clinics. We've had a few parents who've been concerned because their children might have chronic conditions. And so we just, again, refer them back to their doctors, follow their advice, and we work with them from there. So
Our normal absentee rate is between 4 and 6 to 4 to 7%, and today's absentee rate was 4.35%. So, that's right now, but that's what it was today. Because some of the feedback I got today was, why y'all's absentee rate is so high today. It wasn't. It was 4.35%. So, the rumors and things that get circulating out there, y'all know, it just makes it worse to be able to, to deal with what we have going already. But the absentee rate's fine right now.
Is that normal for even in the flu season and all that?
That's actually low for flu season. Yeah.
There are still some flu cases out there, but it's really about to go away. Yeah, it's really gotten better. And we judge a lot of what goes on at the hospital and what they're seeing for the children that are at Le Bonheur, and they have seen the same thing. It's been a decrease in the flu over the last month, really. So, any other questions?
So we don't know if the warm weather will have an effect on it. We don't know that.
We don't know that, no. We know that it's droplet, so if you cough into a tissue, throw it away and wash your hands. Cough into your sleeve, that kind of thing. It's not airborne where I'm just breathing and you're going to walk by me and catch it. So we know that. At least that's what they say they know for now. They're learning every day, and the scientists are studying it, and as they get new information, it'll come out and change. But for now, that's what we know.
Okay. Mr. Donovan, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm very impressed with what's being done. Very impressed with these reports, what you put on the website. Comforting to me to know that the action's being taken by the board, so good job. Good job.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, ladies.
These three are on our task list too.
Right,
Yes,
yeah, that's three good ones right there, I know, because they put on a good presentation tonight. We learned a lot of shit I didn't know about. Go ahead, Mr.
About the testing facilities, what do you hear? Where is our testing facility?
So I got that this afternoon from a call I was on at Le Bonheur. Right now, if you go in and need to be tested, they are contacting the health department in Shelby County, and a test is made available, and the test is happening, and it's taking about 36 to 48 hours to get the results. So you're tested here, but then the results have to go to Nashville to get read.
Now, when you say here,
Here in Shelby County. Right now, it's in Shelby County. If we had a case, or if there was a case here in Tipton County, they would go through the Tipton County Health Department, and they would link up with the other larger health departments and make sure the testing happened.
in your meetings, are y'all hearing of a bigger effort about developing more testing?
Yes, so the tests are there. I don't know if you've heard differently, but what they told us today is that over the next 3 weeks, there will be more tests available, and there will be more tests on site. And Le Bonheur is actually working on the ability to roll out more tests at one time. So, and all the other facilities, I'm sure the adult hospitals are doing the same, and Baptist and everything else. But it just takes time for those things to happen. But yes, they say within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should be able to have quicker results. Right now, 48 hours is about the average, but it will be much quicker once all these things have happened.
Given that, should we adjust the reentry period for a student that has a fever? If it takes 2 days to get the test back, should we modify that?
Well, they say that you're the most contagious when you're the sickest. So when you're running your fever, there are some diseases that you're actually contagious before anyone knows you have anything wrong with you. Those are the tricky ones. But they're saying that if you're sick with a fever and the respiratory illness, that's when you're the most contagious. So we stick with you need to be at home without a fever and no fever reducing medications for a minimum of 24 hours before you return to school. And some doctors are writing for the flu. We had a lot of doctors write a 5-day out regardless. And so we were honoring that regardless of what their temperature was. Keep them out for the 5 days so that we're not taking a chance of infecting anyone.
I just didn't know if we might should adjust it for the time being or not.
They have not, from the epidemiologist at the hospital, they've not told us that, but I can double check and ask that question. I'm happy to do that and let you know.
Check into that.
Are we waiving a little bit for students that have been out sick with fevers often, as far as absenteeism, and it not counting against them this year? You know what I'm saying? Because we've had a lot of that.
Right, that's actually a really good question. We're playing those case by case right now. You know, we still have that wonderful chronic absenteeism piece that the state requires and puts on there. But quite frankly, you know, I'll just say in front of y'all, I don't care. I mean, if kids are sick and there's a reason they're not there, I don't care. If they bust us for being chronically absent, we're going to take care of our kids.
Okay.
So whatever, you know, we'll deal with that when it comes. But no, we're watching that on a case by case. But you know, we work with the doctors, Le Bonheur, all that, because I mean, our number one priority is make sure those kids are they're okay. Yeah.
Mr. Donovan had something.
Yeah, I was just going to add some more on, were asking about the test kits and the quality, the quantity of them. There was actually, I got from the Tennessee Department of Health today, a third company that's producing these kits that just came on today. So three companies making these. And there's only been 88 in the whole country, only 88 people that have been tested. So they seem to think that the quantity of those test kits are going to be very plentiful.
And I will say, I know y'all got the call out today that I sent out to everybody, that we sent out, Dr. Fisher sent it out for me. And right now, as far as around Shelby County schools, they're the only ones that have closed. I mean, Fayette, Haywood, all those around us, Collierville, Bartlett, Millington, all of this, they're still all open. None of those have closed. That's another rumor that was going around, that some of those schools have closed and they have not. Now, there are some of them that are going on spring break next week, but they have not closed. So, yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
It hadn't stopped you before.
Now, I'm an optimistic person by nature,
Yes, sir.
but I'm also familiar with human nature. Have you discussed the scenario that when these tests are more available, and all of a sudden you have 6 students in 6 different schools who've been diagnosed as having this virus? Have you talked about that, about what you do at that point? Because the people will freak out.
Oh, absolutely. They already are, absolutely.
So have you discussed, what do you do in a worst case scenario like that? And do you get guidance from the state at all, or are they just letting you
That's a
wave
good
like a flag?
question. So that's kind of multi-pronged. So the first part of that is that we have discussed that, and that's why the task force is going to meet. We're going to meet tomorrow, and then we also have a meeting with Mayor Huffman and some other people Tuesday as far as what we're going to do. But it is not at all out of the question for us to close schools. That's definitely something that could happen, without a doubt. We have the days built into our schedule, and even more if we need them, if it becomes an issue across the state, that we could use those. So by all means, that is an opportunity. But we have to see some of those things happening first. And yes, the schools could most definitely be closed in those situations.
And if they
Yes, sir.
got too bad, it could be a mandate to stay at home.
Absolutely. And the second part, when you talked about getting information from the State Department, the TDOE and the State Health Department have gone on record as saying, we do not recommend that schools close at this time. But then they always do that caveat, that like the fine print down there underneath. But we will also leave it up to individual districts. If they see something they think requires additional, then we'll leave it up to them to do that. But they made that statement today, we are not recommending any of those closed. So one thing is, I have to hear from the health department, before we make a decision. I don't just, go back in an office and say, hey, we're closing today, and somebody coughed. I have to have some input from the health department before, we make a move on that, because we have to have some real facts to do that. But it is not at all out of the question that it could close if it got like a scenario like you're talking about.
Has the state said anything about it, because we're coming into testing season as well? Has the state said anything about that,
Honestly, not really. They've just kept pushing through, unless you've heard something I haven't. They're just rolling with what's going on. They haven't said anything. They're just, that's right. I mean, if it happened, plus, with all the tornado damage and all that happened up in the Nashville area, some folks are already reeling from some other things prior to this even. So, there's no telling. They could stay something or move it, but we have not heard any of that from the State Department. No, sir.
Any other questions?
Absolutely.
Thank you, ladies, for being here. That's some good information tonight. Mr. Dunn, thank you too.
Thank you all.
Dr. Fisher, for your report. Ms. Peggy Murdoch, financial report.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Dr. Fisher, I appreciate your message about what the school system is doing as far as closing schools, and then the information you gave about the surrounding counties and then the municipalities in Shelby County. It wasn't 10 minutes after I listened to you that I had an opportunity to just calm down and say, look, this is where we are. They couldn't understand why we weren't closing school. But you were so professional, and I appreciate the information.
No problem. Let Dr. Cole and Dr. Berger.
I know you had a team.
Dr. Fisher was the voice of reason.
Good evening, guys. I know you're surprised, but I do not have an amendment tonight, I'm proud to say, so praise the Lord. All right, I do have one copy lease agreement for Crestview Elementary School that I need for you to approve if you would.
Have a motion by Mr. Davidson. Second by Mr. Clark. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passed.
All right, if you'll look at the first page of our financial report for the 141 General Purpose Fund, this month, the month of February, we received $10,405,123. That's 12.3% of our budget. We have received so far 71.5% of our revenues. On the expenditure side, we spent $6,610,736. 7.8%.
And for total expenditures for the 8 months, 57.4%. So that's where we are on our 141 budget. Any questions? All right, 142, federal projects. Federal received $511,061. That's 15.4%. And I don't think that math is right, so I'll tell you what that is next month. We have expended $553,642, or 49.5% of their expenditures. Questions on federal? The cafeteria received $44,896. That's 9.5% of their budget, and they expended $442,035, 7.4% of their budget. And then on the 177, they spent $1,370 this month of February, and that was for A2H, but it was tied to the lagoon. And so we have spent 61% of what we've been allotted.
Are there any questions about the financial report? Do we have a motion to approve it as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Joyner, second by Mr. Farrell. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passed.
I do have a question for
Okay.
Did you not say last month, or was I dreaming, that the county wanted our next year's budget like a month early?
May 1st.
May 1st.
May
I
1st.
thought you said April.
May 1st. So thank you for asking. Next month, we were going to ask you guys what process you wanted us to use, and if you can kind of think through that over the next few moments. Next month, you can tell us what to do. We have to have it up, the 2021 budget uploaded no later than May 1, which that means we either have to bring it to you April, which there's no way in the world I can bring it to you in April. By the time you guys meet next month, we will not have had one information piece from the State Department. We will not have had an estimate at all. They usually come middle to the end of April. So I'm not 100% sure what we're going to decide to do. Dr. Combs is going to kind of put us in the direction that he wants us to go. I just don't.
What you have to do to fix
That's
it.
right.
I mean,
That's right. So
you don't have the numbers.
At some point, it's a guess. I mean, we
it's
don't
just
have
going to have to be a
Right.
guess. I just don't have any idea what the piece of the pie will be. You know, we can make a guess, an educated guess, but that doesn't mean it's going to be right,
Right.
because we're still losing students. So I don't have any idea what the ratio is between what we lost last year and what we received in revenue, and what we've lost this year and what we will receive in revenue, because last year, what was it, $4.5 million that he put in? This year, they're putting in $17 million. In my head, that means we'll get 4 times as much because we lost fewer than we lost last time, but that doesn't mean anything at all. It's not that logical. So,
You
more
guys
than-
are really good about amending the budget, so I can see that in our future.
I know, I see that in our future as well. But no, sir, May the 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Bardock.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Combs, do you have anything to add?
Not really, just thank you for your support. I mean, everybody's been great. We've been getting information, out as we can to local news, to the leader. They're great about letting me shoot them information and asking questions. And then also, to let y'all know, I don't think we said this out loud, so the Finance Committee did approve the $380,000 for continuation of our capital improvement project, so that was great. We appreciate that, so.
And that's not represented in your budget because it was done after.
Right.
That's good. Yes, sir. Does anybody else have anything to add? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Clark, second by Ms. McClurkin. We stand adjourned.